Good evening and thanks for joining us once again. I've just had this diff dropped off here from a customer that put out a bit of a call out on Facebook. Some of you may have seen it on Facebook, and thank you very much also for all your recommendations. You guys, much appreciate it. Anyway, here's the diff here. It is actually sitting on my bench. The fella ripped it out this morning and has only just dropped it down to me, and I said to him, you know, I'll have a look at it and see what's going on inside, because I'm a bit curious as to what's going on, as this diff itself was shuddering really violently to the point I've never actually seen or heard it like that. It actually sounded like his differential. The differential itself had literally expired, but then when he said, like he said, driving it down a straight road, it was fine. So led me to believe what I believe has happened with it, but we'll get into a bit more of that and a little bit more. But I'm a little bit concerned now that I've got it on my bench as to what I've found internally and to what I am going to find. So I basically just stopped what I was doing and I thought I'll grab the camera. I'm not shit canning anybody. I don't know where this diff was done. I'm just going to point out to you some of the concerns I have with this diff and some of the concerns that I'll probably have to, I will definitely be rectifying, and just some of the things that's happened here. Now, this fella, he bought the car with the diff and everything in it. So yeah, once again, I'm not going into where he got it from or anything like that, because that's absolutely none of my business. I'm just showing what has happened with this, because there was a lot of people on Facebook who were very interested into and put up a lot of comments as well, sort of, you know, trying to diagnose what had happened with this. So basically speaking, let's just have a quick look. They've done a leaf spring relocation on this. First thing is, you know, once again, I'm not shit canning anybody's work, but pretty poorly done. That one there's not too bad, but this one here is extremely on the piss. Like it's not square, it's actually sitting like that, exaggerated. I don't know how well the camera picks that up, but that, yeah, she's not square on there at all, which leads me to believe whether the diff itself is even straight. Then I had a look at the center. Now, once again, I'm not shit canning anybody's work, please, but this is just some of the things that I've just found in here. Different main cap bolts, different crown wheel bolts in there as well. And a really concerning one is that I don't know how well this is going to pick it up, but there's actually no washer down in there behind the nut. The telltale sign is the amount of thread hanging out the end there, but yeah, there's actually no washer underneath that nut. So these early ones, they come like this. They have a very fat washer that goes underneath, and then naturally the bolt on top. So there's no washer in there. Once again, stuff that I'll be fixing. So what I'll do next is I'll take this out and show. Oh, another thing also is this looks as if it's an early model. It's an early model gear set. They've converted it to a 28 spline. They've used hex head nuts, bolts on here, which I'm a little bit scared as to whether I'm going to be able to even get them undone. We'll just wait and see. I'll probably get them done. I always do. But yeah, they've used an early model gear set, and I just had this out quickly, and it does actually look like they've turned out the inside of it. But I'll show you a little bit more of that in a minute. Enough waffling, and let's get it out and stick it on the jig. Okay, so I've removed the actual differential center out of the housing. It is what I expected. Now you can see and hear how much that's grabbing as I turn it. Now that should actually be smooth, really smooth, and even when I go fast. So you could imagine what that would sound like in the actual car itself, let alone that's cold. When this is a cone and side gear here. This is what's inside of here. So this sits inside of the differential. Now, when this heats up, it naturally expands. So you can imagine how much more violent and aggressive that would be in the car when it's hot. It's what I suspected. So I don't know what cones they've put in here, but we're about to find out when I tear it all apart. So once again, like I said, I just thought I'd show you guys as to what has happened, what happened with this diff. So now what I'll do is I'll tear it down and yeah, we'll have a look at fixing it up. Okay, now once again, I'm not shit-canning anybody's work. I'm just documenting what I have found or what I'm finding wrong with this diff as I go along. Just removing the crown wheel bolts. And it looks as if this is a late model center style hemisphere. Now, once again, they've used the early model crown wheel and pinion in it. That's fine, but these crown wheel and pinions, the early ones, they take a smaller bolt. And I'll just grab one. I've got a gazillion of them. They take a smaller bolt, whereas the late model gears take a bigger bolt with a left-hand thread, and these are right-hand thread. Don't get me wrong, some of the early model stuff is left-hand thread too, but they are always a small bolt. Now, once again, just tearing this one down, just removing a couple of the bolts. Small bolt, that's fine, has to be that to go to the crown wheel, but it is actually small bolt, and this hole is a large hole. Now, that's not good, because exaggerated, this gear set could start floating around if these, and start wearing these bolts and the heads of the bolts, and can lead to failure. Once again, as you can see, that's like a prick in a shirt sleeve. This is the correct bolt for this LSD center. As you can see, that is nice and tight in there, and not loose like this one is. Don't know how well that camera's picking that up. Now, to overcome this, we do use on the late model housing, sometimes we do use the early model gears if the customer is happy with the gear set and doesn't want to change ratios and so forth, and depending on the budget of the build. So what you can actually buy, so there is actually no reason for this to be like this, these inserts. Now we put these inserts into the actual LSD center itself, so that it creates a small hole for the bolt, instead of having a bolt floating around in there like a prick in a shirt sleeve. Not ideal for a differential center. So once again, I'm not shit-canning anybody's work. I'm just showing you as I go along the problems that I'm finding. Once again, the other alarming thing is that they haven't used these bolts. So A, they've probably stripped the head off of them when they were removing them and gone to the local hardware store and got something else. Or B, yeah, we'll find out in a minute. All right, enough waffling. Like I said, just showing you guys and keeping you updated as we go along. Okay, so tore down the LSD. It has got new parts in here, as I sort of suspected it would have, because they've actually bought off-the-shelf cones instead of using a genuine cone. These aftermarket cones are a lot softer than what the genuine ones are. As you can see, it's quite wide. The line's quite wide here, whereas that one's quite narrow. Basically speaking, that's how much this one has worn in a very brief time too, mind you, from what I've been told. You can also see black marks on here where it's gotten very hot and has been grabbing on the inside of the case as well. There's marks on both of these too. So yeah, one of the solutions, or one of the things that we're going to be doing to resolve this problem is to replace the cone with these aftermarket cones with some good quality secondhand genuine cones. So yeah, we've come to the point where we'll be doing a full rebuild on this diff. Once again, I'm not shit-canning anybody's work. I'm just showing you what I have I'm just documenting what I'm finding as I'm tearing this down. The bearings need to be replaced because I'm not sure how well the camera will pick that up, but they've actually been really badly damaged on install. So yeah, once again I've spoken to the customer, and yeah, we're going to have to do a, not sure how well that's going to pick that up. Let's have a look that way. Yeah, they've been really badly damaged. So yeah, once again we'll just get this outside now, put it in the bathtub, and give it a wash inside and out, or remove the pinion bearing, and you can probably hear that when I'm turning it. So yeah, that's in a bad way. Well, sorry about that, guys. That's in a bad way as well. So yeah, and once again also I discovered, you know, there's no pinion nut underneath, no pinion washer underneath the nut either, which is really not ideal either. So yeah, so what we'll do next is we'll get stuck into tearing this down further, getting it all cleaned up, and back on the bench and ready to start assembling the LSD and so forth. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the LSD all back together. We've taken out the aftermarket cones that were in here, and we've replaced them with the genuine Borg-Warner LSD cones. So I've got the camera on the tripod. So as you can see, now it takes a bit to break this away, but as you can see, it's a nice smooth action. It's not grabbing and chattering, whereas the other one I could use one hand literally and break it away, but it was also chattering. So that's the sort of results that you want, is a nice smooth action like that, and not chattering like the other one was. So that should solve all the problems. Once again, I sort of knew what it was when I spoke to the customer as soon as he got in contact with me, because this does happen a bit. Unfortunately, the cones, they were quite soft and they had gone through the hardening and were no good. So yeah, so we've got that all sorted out. So let's get on with it and get into the next step. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this VE Diff all back together. Had to replace, as you can see, a lot of items in it, and also add a few items to it. The setup was not exactly too good either. Didn't have enough backlash, so we've increased the backlash, etc. Had to put an adjustable shim in here too to be able to move it across, because I think this worked out to 200 and, was it 200 and, I think it was about 215 odd thou that we had to put in there, and I only had like a 204 or 203 thou shim in there. So as you can tell, we seriously moved this across quite a lot. All right, so I'm sorry, I apologise, I didn't tape a lot putting this back together, because we've had some pretty average weather over here, days, a lot of rain and so forth, so you realistically wouldn't have heard any audio on the clips either. So just going through what we've replaced in this differential, we put some really good quality second-hand cones in here, because as you can see, these are worn, and we're also gripping and causing the LSD to shudder severely, really badly. Put new pinion bearings in there, new carrier bearings also. Not sure how well that picks that up, but these were really badly damaged on install. I don't know how they even did that, but anyways, they were badly damaged, so I replaced all them. I've replaced the axle seals as well, 2 axle seals, the pinion seal. We put a new pinion nut and washer in there. Not sure how well that can pick that up, but new pinion nut and washer, and that had actually, due to them doing up the pinion nut with no washer underneath it, it actually did countersink the yoke as well, down in there. So once again, like I said, we've got new nut and washer on there as well, new pinion seal, solid spacer, New cones in there, new bearings all throughout, and new seals as well. Got our backing plate there all ready to go on, pinion snubber, bolts. We've got our oil and Motorcraft friction modifier. We've also replaced the crown wheel bolts and put all even crown wheel bolts all the way around. We even replaced the main cap bolts because as you can see on here, this was the main cap bolt that they had put in there due to them obviously breaking one or something. But as you can see, let me just get that. You can see they're actually a different length as well. So we've put the correct length bolts in there also. So basically speaking, we've put it back to literally what it should have been. So yeah, so once again, there's all the items that we've basically replaced and more. Yeah, so this one's all ready to go now. As you can see, patterns come up absolutely mint all the way around. So very happy with that. Bit of mucking around to get that correct, but we've got it all correct. So yeah, so that's pretty much the VE diff all sorted out. Like I said, we've got the backlash correct now, and also it didn't have the correct amount of preload on the two bearings either, so hence the reason why we've put the other shim in here to increase our preload as well on our bearings. So yeah, all good. Alrighty, so that's pretty much the VE diff all done. Bit of tidying up over the weekend. We've got the mini 10 bolt here which is a GT5 diff, which is going in the 85 Pontiac Firebird. We've got 3 diffs here for the fab shop. One will be the Willwood Diffzilla combo that we build, so stay tuned for that one. Another one here with big bearing ends going onto it, and 11-inch Ford brakes. And we've also got over here another Borg Warner out of it for a panel van, for a Valiant panel van. I may have another Centura diff coming up for sale soon, 28 spline 4-pin combo, so hit us up if you're interested in that. And we've got another 9-inch to build. So yeah, as you can see, plenty on in the shop as usual. Yeah, but yeah, very happy to have this one all finished and ready for the customer to pick up as well, and back in the car. And yeah, I don't think he'll have any more issues with this one. Alrighty, so thanks for joining us once again, and stay tuned. Please subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you all next time. Mid Coast Diff Shop.